Good evening. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and Happy New Year. Tonight we have our Sterling representative, Courtney Langlois, with us. Welcome. First up is the minutes approval of December 11th, 2019. In front of you are the minutes from that meeting.
Move to accept.
There's a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
One
I wasn't here for the whole
abstention.
meeting.
Motion carries. Communications. Under communications, it's not in front of you, but I just wish to communicate that we are currently working with the Sterling Board of Ed and their superintendent, Gail Lanza, to discuss the dates for the Sterling Co-op agreement, which after 10 years we're reviewing with them. Those meetings have been set for the last Tuesday of the month on January 28th. Mr. Cartier and Ms. Berry are the representatives for the Sterling Co-op along with myself, so we will be meeting with their team from their board and their superintendent also to discuss that. That is, yes.
Where are the meetings?
I think currently where are the meetings? Have we decided if it's there or here?
We were waiting to get the confirmation, which we only got today, so I think what we should do is go there and come back. The January, we're gonna hold off until February, and the reason for that is the two superintendents are gonna get together the first January 28th and really go through the document so that we're prepared to give you, as Sterling and BOE, all of the information, what things are in place that are working, and what are some of the challenges that you may want to look at. So we're gonna do a little bit of homework on the first Tuesday, and the February meeting, we'll probably host first here in Plainfield. And then we'd like to invite Sterling to offer the alternate day, whatever location you want, just so that we're sharing the visitation site.
That would make it February 25th.
February 25th, do we anticipate here?
Correct, and my preference would be to have it here at the high school, because that's the place where Sterling has invested their money and their children into this building, so having it held here, even in the small conference we have would be appropriate.
Okay, and then do we know the time, or will we kind of firm that up?
We'll firm up what's appropriate. We're thinking probably 6 o'clock may be good, but we don't want to put people out if that's their dinner time. We thought 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
No, but this is important to know, that so that people know the commitment that we're making. So it'll be every last Tuesday through the rest of this year prior to June, because
But not this month, next?
not this month. We'll start then. And that way we get all the documents to both boards so they know what information you need to start with. You know, what does the current cooperative agreement look like, and what things might we want to look at that might be improved upon. Good.
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. Good questions.
All right, under personnel, resignations and retirements, Mr. DePietro, will you walk us through?
Certainly. Let's begin with the first notification that is in your packet. We received from Jean Gladue, an art teacher with 35 years experience. She actually not only served as an art teacher, but she also served as the district art coordinator for us, all grade from pre-K to grade 12. Jean's husband retired last year, if you remember. We accepted his retirement, and she is actually going to leave effective January 31st. So I ask that you accept with regret her notification of resignation for purpose of retirement.
So I'm looking for a motion to accept the resignation of Mrs. Jean Gladue.
I move that we accept Jean Gladue's retirement.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Towards this, because I know the board always is concerned about continuity, we actually have an art teacher who's part-time, and she should be able to pick up and absorb the remainder. So we won't be hunting in the middle of a year for a person of the quality of Mrs. Gladue, because we do have a teacher who is part-time with us, and hopefully that will work out. The second one, again, with 34 years, similar to Mrs. Gladue, is Mrs. Teresa DeLuca, and she has been a music educator with us for 34 years, working in the elementary. She has worked on curriculum with Mrs. Cadro in terms of coordinating our program of music across the grades and contributing there. You may hopefully have had the time to read some of her comments of it's her time for her to begin starting a transition. So I do ask that you accept with regret the resignation for purposes of retirement of Teresa DeLuca, music teacher.
I move that we accept the resignation of Teresa DeLuca with regret. And I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you again. And that gives us time till the end of the year. She'll be remaining through the remainder of the year. And it's very kind that people will inform us as early as December, January, because finding replacements are very difficult. You want to have information out there and seek to hire the best quality candidates for our district. The next one is a little unique, so you need a little prelude. The person herself is extremely prepared and ready to help us. Let me explain the reason for a new person. Her name is Miranda Freeman. She is a special education teacher, and she will be joining us at the end of the month, starting with the next month, because she has to give due notice. We have identified at least 3 other students, beyond what you'll hear tonight of some students that we certainly, when there are challenges in excess of what we can provide for, we sometimes need to place children in an environment where they can provide that service. We have 3 children who have been identified in the early grades that are demonstrating some needs beyond our regular school classroom capacity. Rather than send them out, because those placements cost anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 per child, we found a person in Miranda Freeman who has been a clinical specialist working with EastCon Educational Collaborative, and you know of their work. They've been working for us and have supported the region very well. And if you look at her experience, both in educational and vocation, and in her Beautiful Beginnings Child Care Center work, she's got all the right training, and we're going to put a classroom over at Moosup, which will give these children an opportunity, instead of being outplaced and having to go into a facility or a center, we're going to actually train them with, provide that education with a teacher ready and prepared who has been a clinical educator in a setting such as EastCon in our own home environment. So it will save us the cost of that placement. In addition, we have the ability to return a 2nd grade student who's been placed, and that will save us the cost on that. So the cost for this person is also going to be offset by returning 1 student. So I recommend to you the acceptance of my recommendation to appoint Miranda Freeman, a special education teacher in the elementary grades. She would be placed at Moosup in a brand new program. The para-educators assigned with these children will come with those children for transition. She will be starting with us. We have a room that's being designed specifically for these children, and this is a beginning for us to look at how we can offset the increasing cost of placements by bringing them home into our district rather than outplacement.
Where is this coming out of the budget?
Yep.
Where the budget is coming out of? Is this part of the excess special education that we're running into right now?
This can be funded by that, but it's coming because one of the children who's in a $65,000 placement is going to terminate to come into the program. That will save that
Okay.
$35,000.
So that money's going to...
And that money will fund this position. The other paras are already scheduled with the children. They'll all come with the children. So virtually, we're doing it in an at-cost situation.
So it's
Instead of going out, coming in.
Right, instead of going out.
The money, but is it, I mean, the EIPs, is this something that, IPs,
Yeah.
I mean, does it coincide with that? or is
It does. As a matter of fact, and we have Mr. Sugarman with us, but the parents are aware that these children were planning for or scheduling for an outplacement, and we've communicated to them that we believe we can provide an outplacement in a room that's different from the environment and the structure of a large school, in a classroom being designed, and that will meet their needs.
So instead of being outplaced all day at $65,000 a year. they're
Correct,
gonna
but it'll be in our district rather than out of the district. So it's the same plan to bring them to a program designed for them, but instead of paying for 3 children to go out of district, the 3 children plus 1 coming back will be all brought in district. And that goes with an IEP. All the parents must agree to that. We believe we have all those agreements.
And
You
they've
believe
already-
you have all this?
We do, and Mr. Sugarman is here. Hi. So we're meeting with the parents.
We've already met
Already done.
informally, and informal meetings are coming up.
Yeah.
And we have warm fuzzy feelings that it's gonna,
Well, the parents are aware of this, and this is the best alternative to start, rather than placing them in a foreign environment. Yeah, it's the right question. Are the parents prepared to do this? The answer is yes, but you have to have an IEP meeting to formally make that change.
So this is a net zero cost to the budget, or possibly a savings?
Well, it's a savings over what it would cost if we placed them out.
Yeah.
2 children were already scheduled to be placed. For the half a year alone, would be about 60 to 80,000. So that money goes away,
Right.
and then hopefully it's fully costed out by the 1 child we can
Yeah.
return.
Yeah.
Is there a name
Huge
for this
thing.
program?
I'm sorry?
Is there a name for this program?
We're not, well, I actually did name it. We have what's called an ILP, an intensive learning program, which is for autistic children, and we have that. And we have an RSP, which is responsive support for children that have behavioral and social challenges. I've tagged this in an intensive support program, an ISP, because what it is, it's a combination of trying to respond to the support needed for children that is just more intensive than what a school would normally allow for. And this will be a dedicated program, a dedicated classroom, and dedicated paras and
And
educators.
they'll be there all day?
And they will be there. They'll have access to the whole building as needed,
Right,
so
but
they're
there will be
not
that
excluded,
support.
but they will have, as a matter of fact, the room is designed to have its interior sink, interior bathroom, so that if they need to be in the room, they can be comfortable and stay there.
But this isn't part of that high roads, or,
No,
or
no.
Just something?
No, that's not.
But this is-
That's the high end
high
of
school, yeah.
9 through 12.
Great, so at this time, I'm looking for a motion to appoint Miranda Freeman.
I move that we appoint Miranda Freeman for the intensive program just outlined.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you much.
All right, tonight, if you remember, back in December, we honored the CAPS recipients from the elementary schools and middle school, and tonight we have our high school students. So I'm going to have board members read, and we'll ask the student to step forward at that time so they can be recognized by the board. First up, we have Caitlyn Newman.
And it's my honor to read on behalf of Caitlyn Newman. Caitlyn Newman is in grade 12. She's a senior at Plainfield High School and is the president of the National Honor Society. She's also a senior class officer and heavily involved in both theater and choral programs here at Plainfield High School. She is caring, honest, and dedicated to both her academics and community service, and was selected as the 2019 recipient of the Daughters of the American Revolution Good Citizens Award. Caitlyn is also a senior class officer and enrolled in top-level courses, and is very active in the school community. Caitlyn plans on attending either the University of Connecticut or the University of New Hampshire to major in school council.
Congratulations.
We're having technical difficulties. All good?
No trickies.
All right, next we have Sarah Alley. Did I say it correctly?
Okay, Sarah is also a senior, and she's an extremely hardworking and diligent young lady. She's also very independent and goes out of her way to help other people. Sarah is involved in many after-school activities, and she spends time volunteering in the community. Sarah is the secretary of the National Honor Society and is the historian of the PHS debate team. She has been in chorus for all 4 years of high school. She's also the editor of the PHS yearbook and a member of the Pottery Club. In addition, Sarah performs community service at Villa Maria in Plainfield and volunteers at Shepherd Hill Elementary School. She also volunteers at Project PIN and has perfect attendance in school. Wow.
Yeah.
Sarah plans on attending the University of Connecticut to pursue a degree in the medical field. Congratulations, Sarah.
Nice to see you again.
All right, do we have Daniel Flanagan?
Daniel Flanagan is a member of the National Honor Society and is currently ranked first in his class despite carrying a very rigorous academic schedule of AP Calculus, AP English, AP History, and discrete mathematics. Daniel is extremely motivated and a self-starter who taught himself honors geometry prior to his sophomore year. Daniel is also one of our student representatives for the NEASC accreditation process and helped to provide student input into the school improvement plan. He also volunteers in the community at the Friends of Assisi Food Pantry. Daniel plays basketball and baseball for PHS and is the recipient of our Sportsmanship Award. Daniel plans to attend either the University of Connecticut or the New York University. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Mathematician, well, that's it.
And our next student is Rihanna Burke.
Brianna Burke is a grade 12 student. Brianna Burke is a wonderful young lady who goes out of her way to support her fellow classmates. She is smart, diligent, works very hard in school, and is extremely well regarded by her peers. In fact, she was voted the nicest and most caring person by her classmates because of her kindness. Brianna is a talented athlete, and she has been on the school soccer team since her freshman year. She is a member of the PHS choral and drama departments and has appeared in several spring productions. She is also a talented artist and is enrolled in advanced placement art. In addition, she is very driven in her academic studies, which includes Spanish 4, honors science, philosophy, and advanced placement English. Brianna plans to attend Eastern Connecticut State University. Congratulations.
Thank you to all of our CAPS recipients for coming out this evening, and we wish you the very best. That is coming up at Brooklyn Middle School.
Right. Tuesday at 5:30, there's a ceremony for the entire region. We just felt this is a more intimate and personal way, and we don't get to read everything into the record at that time, so this is a chance where people can really hear the quality of students who are here at Plainfield High School. Very proud of you guys. Congratulations.
All right. At this time, I just also want to direct everyone's attention to the giant gingerbread house that is currently on the bookcase, which is a representation from our Moosup Elementary School students of Moosup Elementary School. So if you look carefully, you can see the cafeteria. You can see the new entranceway. And it really is just shows you the incredible effort that they put in. And it's my understanding that they also delivered to Colonial, Town Hall, and Westminster as well in the community. So
This is actually the gift from Musa to the board, and you weren't able to see it, so we wanted you to see the gift they made for you. So,
very talented.
and there are a few gumdrops missing, and I'm very sorry.
All right. Also tonight, there is a presentation. If you remember, Shepherd Hill Elementary has been working on a sensory path that I had the opportunity on my walkthroughs in October to see, which I understand is quite the hit with children. So they have created a video done by our own students at PHS that is going to play for us.
You're welcome.
Started, two teachers and myself, as well as the building principal, started a committee called Movement Space Committee. And we began researching sensory paths. Our administrator was so supportive of it that she purchased the sensory path for us from a company that was prepaid and everything. It's gorgeous. So the students have absolutely loved it. We've had lots of paraprofessionals that spend some of their personal time helping us create it. Peel stickers, cut stickers, place them in the right spot.
Are there any apparent outcomes that you've gotten so far with having that?
Absolutely. There are students who would have normally needed other breaks instead of taking proactive breaks, and now they're able to get passes and go in and use the sensory path. And it takes about 2 to 3 minutes. You might just need a reset, you might take a little bit of energy out. Very, very good.
Any advice or any tips for anyone thinking about it there?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. Definitely. Yeah, one put it in somewhere in the school where the students can use it. So yeah, if you ask, you could probably pull all of the teachers in the building, they would say that this has been beneficial for their students.
I use it for those kids who get antsy in class, like they don't want to write or they don't want to complete an assignment, it might be too hard, too difficult. So I end up giving them a break to go to the sensory path, get some energy out. And it really does work. They come back calmer, ready to work. They've kind of gotten that heart problem out of the way. They can kind of see with a different purpose. And I'm on the floor up here where the sensory path is located. So I walk by and often see kids taking advantage of getting wiggles out and also learning, jumping, counting, having a break from sitting. So it's just definitely a positive experience. The benefits that I've seen with the sensory path are mostly the students that have trouble kind of sitting still in class have the opportunity to go get that movement break, that sensory break that they need, a little hopping, a little jumping, skipping, just kind of gives them a break from class, little energy release, and then they can come back to class a little bit more calmer. For some of my general education students that typically don't need those breaks, they're still really eager to go. It's great for gross motor skills, some of the hopping and skipping, 1 foot, those are all great things for kids this age to develop. So I am Kristen Train, I'm the principal of Shepherd Hill Elementary School. We have started a committee last year to really look at alternative ways to help coincide some of the increased behaviors we were seeing in the building. And one of the proactive ways that we thought that we can help and reach more children, whether they be on an individual plan or whether they just need a break from the classroom, would be to develop a space in which could use many different parts of their brain, and they could go into a space either privately or with their whole class, and they could take a break. And really, we researched several different ways, and the committee really felt strongly about coming together and really doing a sensory path. They were able to look at different articles, they saw different videos, and we really researched the sensory path. We developed this awesome space. It's utilized by single students as well as whole classes that go through. Some teachers go outside for a walk
When that's not available, they might go utilize this path with their whole class. It's a proactive measure for the students who are getting a little anxious in the classroom. It be a proactive break, but really our mantra here at Shepherd Hill is to be proactive rather than reactive. So really this is what that space creates.
Thank you. If you understand, the average day is 390 minutes long. This may be a 5 or 10 minute break out of 390 minutes, but it's just that time, just at the right time, when the students can get a release and get their head back into the classroom academics. So we wanted to share that with you. It's a nice development in one of our schools.
It's been a big hit, still a big hit. Good.
And thank you to the high school. Dr. Bickwood sent his team, students that were doing an independent study came down. That was actually done by our high school students. And I think Mr. Jordan helped with that too, right?
Yes, he
He's
did.
back there somewhere, yeah. So Dr. Bickwood helped support that so that we could, it's hard to explain that to you. So we really wanted to take a video, so thank you for sending your team.
Thank you.
The public forum part of the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to address the Board of Education?
Hello, Matt Radamp, Moose Up. Between the August and October Board of Ed meetings, I believe there was a motion made to table for January, either setting up PTO meetings discussing the theorized realignment of the two elementary schools. I was curious as to whether there had been any action or movement on that up to this point, being as it is January now. That's my question.
So we're working with the principals to get to the PTO meeting so that we can do this. You know that we also took the action, we're not gonna do this for next year, but we want to communicate and have that conversation. So we're trying to line up with the PTO meetings.
Yeah, and I did go to the PTO meeting in Shepherd Hill in January. And I've been to the staff development meeting in Moose Up, and I plan to go to a staff development meeting in Shepherd Hill. And, I've been to a PTO meeting in Moose Up. So I have been doing my own little, for what it's worth,
research.
Reconnaissance, because I think it's on the back burner, but, I want to know how, my constituents feel about it, and as teachers, so I've been doing it.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to address the Board of Education? All right, hearing none, moving on to student representative reports. Mr. Iron.
Well, thank you. So we had our winter concert on the 18th, so that was a big success. Then we had casting for our play Anything Goes. And then our winter sports and winter guard are off to a great start. And with winter vacation and 2 snow days, there was not much to report on. And I can also say students are preparing for midterms, which are coming in the next couple of weeks. So that's all I have for you guys.
Great, well, we appreciate it. All right, moving on to standing committee reports. HVAC Facilities Town Committee. The only thing that I will take a moment just to report is that there was a meeting with the first selectman, and at that meeting we are discussing with the Board of Finance as well, the chair, where we're going to go in terms of bonds as well, what the process for that looks like. So that will be coming up in the next few months as we finalize what the process will be. Is there anything you wish to add since you were at those meetings?
Just that we want the public to understand there are two actual meetings that will be happening. One is our facilities planning, which we're going to talk about tonight, and that's for us to deal with all of our schools. We had a plan up to 2020. We now need a new 5-year plan to get to the year 2025. At the same time, the town is asking that all of their buildings should have the kind of model where we have each building defined for its needs. And so the first selectman is asking the town, each division, Department of Public Works, Police, Fire, everyone, they should have this. So he's calling for a town committee, and then there's a third piece called the HVAC need of the public, of our public schools. So there's an HVAC piece of a town facilities planning. Concurrent to that, we'll be doing our own schools. So when we talk about facility studies, you may hear one of three things happening. Our work, the town's work, or the HVAC needs of our schools, because they are virtually 25 to 30 years old in terms of their heating systems, if not older.
Understanding committees and reports, I just also wish to draw your attention that included in your materials tonight are the standing committees. Just for policy, it's going to be Mr. Betcher, Cindy Arpin, Mike Broughton, and Peggy will serve as an alternate on that one. Communications, we don't meet very frequently, so I would even consider at some point just probably dispensing with that committee. I can only remember one time where we ever met to discuss anything. But then going forward, we also have solar and LED, and on that committee is Kathleen, Audrey, and myself for that one. But I also would just draw your attention to the bottoms with the PTO meetings and meetings that occur with the high school is a different name.
It's called governance.
The governance committee. Those are the assignments right now, so I just encourage you to work with the principals and the principals to reach out to certain members and invite them into the schools as well for anyone that is interested. Yep.
Oh, there it is.
So if there's any changes that you wish to make, just let me know. Yep, curriculum has not changed. So, but this is just to let know assignments as anyone that was able to get back to me with any of their interests that they had. With that, is there anything anyone wishes to address regarding any committees that they were a part of? I know it's with the winter break, there wasn't too much that took place. All right, moving then on to old business, fiscal year 20 budget and facilities report. Mr. Lucier.
Thank you very much. It's a rather boring report this month. There's not a lot to report on the finances. We continue to struggle with our outplacement and tuition costs. Mr. DePietro, Mr. Sugar, and myself are scheduled to meet next Wednesday to do a deep dive into the numbers and try to figure out how we're going to get back on track and reconcile with the rest of the budget. There's a lot of positive areas in the budget this year. Our utilities are running under primarily because of the LED lighting and the solar impact is taking effect right now. Our health insurance is running under plan. We're adding funds to our e-chip bank pool of monies for utilization runout. So things are going positive. It's just this area of the outplacement tuition that seemed to be giving us a problem. The report that I've given to the board members that shows the financial numbers for 2020 reflect a $64,000 reduction that was indicated by us to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance approved the reduction. The numbers I've given the board are in preparation of the town approving the $64,000 reduction. The line items that were touched on were exactly what was communicated to everyone. It's the certified salary is running under, so we took some money from there. Workers' comp and unemployment, we took money from there, and from some of the utility savings. So we are staying true and consistent with the numbers that we're representing to the town. And we're just trying to meet the budget overrun that we've got in those couple areas. On the facility side, there wasn't a lot to report. I did find that over the Christmas break, there were a few items that were touched on at each of the schools. It's not reflected in the report that I gave to the board, but through communication with our lead custodians, I found that at the ECC building, they had buffed and waxed the ground and first floors and installed new faucets in the second floor bathrooms. At Shepherd Hill, they replaced the steamer in the kitchen. At Moose Up Elementary School, they've washed and waxed the cafe floor, repaired a water fountain that was there. In PMS, they've taken several layers of old wax off and replaced it with nice shiny new wax. They've also hung some additional sound deadening mats in the gymnasium. At PCS, they did some interior work to accommodate a program that is taking place at that school. At PHS, they rebuilt the circulator pump on the boiler, which supplies heat to the school, and they replaced the fan motor and control switch on the water boiler. So while everyone is out on vacation and on break, a lot of our support staff are doing the things that need to keep the schools up and running. On the district level, I'm happy to say that the implementation for the new Infinite Visions financial system is taking place. I just sent the lease agreements out to the leasing company, which will be for the payments beginning in July. Recall, I mentioned that we didn't have the money this year to buy it, but they worked with us and said, okay, July 1 of 2020, we can start the payments then. The leasing company has given me those documents. They've been reviewed, signed, and sent back. The implementation team from Untitled Technologies, which is the Infinite Vision subcontract owner, they are requesting information like server IP addresses, who are the power users, and they're starting to gather all that information that's going to be needed to be able to implement this, so it's up and running by July 1.
That's the target.
That's the target, yes. And that's all there is on my end.
Will training be needed for staff?
Oh, absolutely, yes, Kathleen, thank you very much. There is training involved. John Spang from Preston and Lynn Nenny from Learn. They're coordinating that, and what they're trying to do is get as many districts together so we can all meet at a central location for training, which is going to help reduce cost, and it may, in all likelihood, reduce what we're going to have to pay back. The numbers that I gave for the leasing company were the full upfront costs, including the training and implementation. If training costs go down, that will be a reduced amount that we have to pay.
All right, moving on to fiscal year 21 budget process update, Mr. DePietro.
The first thing that I'd like you to do is in binder section 8, which is the old business, you'll see halfway through there's a section called budget priorities. So I'd like you to, the first page of it is just a cover letter from me explaining how the budget priorities have been developed. But if you would resurrect that, I would appreciate it, because although these budget priorities were developed in the past by your colleagues, some who were here before and some who are new, I was hopeful you had the time to review them. Okay. Right underneath that first page. Yep. Yep. Correct. And so there are two sections. The top section, you'll notice, are priorities that members of this board felt are focused on teaching and learning. The budget should support the strategic plan. It should improve and increase student attendance, access to early quality programs such as early childhood programs and services. It should uphold the board's intent to eliminate dropouts. You can read those. The budget is designed by intent, and so it should appropriately return out-of-district placed students to Plainfield Public Schools. These are the things you heard us do tonight. These were the goals that would be guiding our Plainfield Board of Education's decisions when they hear from their administrators as to the budget that's being recommended by our colleagues when we ask them what they need to teach and learn. At the bottom, there is an additional section that the board members came up with, things that state what the public is expecting of the Board of Education. That the board will work cooperatively and communicate and educate all the town stakeholders, the town, the public, the voters, the businesses, and do this in a way that is both transparent and understandable. That the budget will optimize the resources, so we won't just be asking for more, we'll try to think of how we can do the most with what we have. Limit the impacts on local taxes, while ensuring the quality of programs. The Board of Education would provide multiple opportunities, and you'll know that we start on February 1st, that Saturday, and then from there, we virtually meet every week, either as a board, or with the Board of Finance, or with the Board of Selectmen, or in the town meetings. And we virtually meet every week or every other week, all the way through until May, where the vote is taken in that second week of May. And that we will show historical trends, which is another part. So my question to you is, if you had a chance to review it, are you ready to reaffirm these, or did you think that there might be other things that you thought you'd like to add? If the opportunity for you, is this sufficient to go forward, or do you feel there should be changes?
I just have one question on the second bullet point down. I don't really know how much more we can increase access to early childhood programs, and we can start taking them in like 1 and 2 years old, so I'm confused by that statement. We already have preschool and kindergarten, so what are we trying to increase in that regard?
Correct. And that may
So we
be...
can't just maybe just maintain quality access or something?
And that...
The increase makes it sound like we're going to spend more money, bring more kids in.
It's a reasonable recommendation. What you're saying is that we've made conscious gain all-day kindergarten and universal...
Well, we have those now.
Correct, we do have them.
So by saying increase student access, it makes it sound like we're going to be bringing in more students and more teachers.
There's no more left out there.
Well, that's...
So are you suggesting we should have maintained student access to quality?
We'll maintain student access to quality early childhood programs.
That's for your boards. What do you feel about that? Sound fair? So we would move that to maintain student access to quality early childhood programs.
Maintain student access, right, okay.
Good catch. Much appreciated.
I think that it should start off with that the Board of Education, that we're basically in the budget, that we want to also ensure the quality and rigor of the programs for academic. We really highlight the enrichment, we highlight the athletics, but I think just it needs to come out very strong, if not first, that there needs to be a priority for rigor as well.
Was that down somewhere?
So
it's kind of hard to find it in there
That's what I'm
because
saying,
it kind of all
okay, so you're
meshes together.
make
It
it
needs to be
distinct,
first and
summarize it.
foremost, yeah.
So
And that we're committed to high quality programs in general. We talk about quality early childhood, but we really need to make sure that all of our programs have academic rigor, that they're exceeding state expectations.
So you want to maybe add a statement at the beginning, stating that or something?
would it meet your hope if we take the first line, the budget will support the Board of Education strategic plan priorities to ensure rigorous expectations for all students? So if we put it right up front.
Yep, that'd be good.
There we go.
It does it. We're easy with wordsmithing. That's what we do in this business. But I appreciate that what you're doing is making sure people understand that's what you're here for.
Our mission should really match our budget priorities, and just to remind, it's the mission to prepare all students to lead safe and healthy lives with skills to become productive members of the community and workforce. So I believe that first bullet point really needs to match almost that, but with a budget priority, which is where that academic rigor for all students, a program that leads to student success.
I would suggest with that statement that we include the mission statement at the bottom of the priorities. I mean, the mission statement is very clear, we've adopted it, and everyone should know that is our mission. So if we put that right at the bottom, it doesn't have to be stated as a priority, it just is your mission, which automatically states it.
I also think as a budget priority, instead of just meeting state expectations, we should strive to exceed state expectations.
Show me where, I'll change it, where is it?
Third one down, third bullet.
one, to exceed.
So will exceed state expectations? How about meet or exceed?
Yeah, meet or exceed.
Because we don't want to only, meeting is a good goal.
I don't want to be at the bare minimum. I want to make sure that
Right, if we can't exceed, then we failed, so maybe we should meet or exceed. I don't know, it's a wording thing.
Oh, yeah.
Duly noted. Duly noted.
Meet.
Just don't want to just leave them at meet. We want them to
Meet or
extend
exceed.
beyond
Or meet
that.
and exceed, I'm not sure which way it's, probably meet or exceed.
Yeah, or exceed.
Or meet or exceed. All right.
Well, you saw our 4 students tonight, and they certainly
Yes, they did.
exceeded expectations.
Sure.
That's 4.
That's 4 exceeding right there.
No, I'm the 5th guy still.
I appreciate you took this serious. It's an important document. It's an important document. It leads our whole budget process.
All right.
Okay.
With that, I'm looking for a motion to reaffirm the budget priorities as amended.
I'll make a motion to reaffirm the budget priorities as amended in this discussion.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And in the same section, if I could ask, because it relates to our priorities, I would ask you to look 2 pages deeper. Now, what you have is the chart of enrollments, but I have in front of you, you should have it right here. Let's make sure you got it.
Hold on, don't skip 2 pages. If you just notice that next page is the budget calendar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to get that.
Yep, so the school budgets are getting submitted on the 18th to administration.
18th
And then, of January,
Yeah.
and then Saturday, February 1st is the board's annual Saturday where we set aside the time to kind of look at that budget, discuss it, discuss priorities.
Is that the one that's up at the ECC?
Except this year, because we've outgrown the ECC, which is excellent, we are going to be meeting at Plainfield Central School in the cafeteria.
Okay.
That room has just become too small with everyone that's engaging, and that's a good thing. I hope we fill the Central School. I hope that someday we fill the auditorium.
That would be nice.
Real quick, somewhere related to this, are these dates by any chance on the website or in the app? And can they
They
get
will
into
be.
the app?
They will.
They are by the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance is listing.
Oh, the
their
Board of Finance
dates.
is doing this?
This is the Board of Finance. We just aligned to them.
Oh, okay.
Right, we gave you some dates and we found the Board of Finance made some edits, so this is corrected. One of the statements is it's the presentation of the 2021 budget, not the 1920s.
Yeah, I did circle
That came from history, so sorry about
I
that.
wanted to make sure we're.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
the next page.
Okay.
Now's the next page, yes.
And then the next page, when I show you those arrows, it gets distracting. So if you want to look at the simpler one I just gave you, it's the same exact information for most
Without
part.
the arrows, right.
Without the arrows, because a lot of people saying, what are all those arrows doing? In the public, I believe you have them. They should be on, okay. So to make it a little simpler, you'll see a circle. The top is what currently exists. That's your current enrollment. And then there's a circle around 157 in kindergarten. So you would expect how many children should we see in grade 1? 157. When you look at the bottom half, you see what circle? And if you look up the column, that's grade 1, there'll be 157 there.
Okay.
So do you understand how to read the chart? Just so that we're on the same page and if the public is comfortable with it. The importance is, the public always wants to know, are you being clear? Like, why are you asking for new teachers? Like tonight, we did a teacher. Did they understand that we're actually saving money by hiring someone to basically retain our children rather than pay $200,000 in placements? We're actually going to bring them back in. In this case, you can see that we don't really play games. If there's 157 children in kindergarten, we'd expect 157 children next year staying with us. Ideally, they will all stay. Of course, we have in and out migration. Some people move out, some people move in. Same thing, you'll see 133 in the next column, and then you'll see 134 because there is another student in there that is in our central office who may be assigned. So I try to correct for where we know children are moving in and out and some minor changes. But for the most part, you see the numbers are pretty consistent. Among your priorities, we look at making sure we have appropriate staff for the children to make sure we have that. And what you have where it says average class size and you have the number of teachers, if you look particularly under grade 2 at the top, you'll see at the top, under grade 2, there's 173 children in grade 2, but there are 9 teachers in there, which is a high, because it drops the number of kids in the class lower, down to 18 or 19. When you come down, you're going to see that there will only be 134 children in grade 2 next year. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have 9 teachers, so there's going to be 3 less teachers. But the number of children in those classes will still only be 20 to 21. So the number will be okay, but the drop means that we'll be adding a teacher to grade 1, so you see a +1 at the bottom, minus 3 teachers in grade 2, and we added half teacher to pre-K, because our pre-K classes right now are 18, 18, 18, and 19, I think, in the afternoon. And in the morning, they're already 14 and 15. The classes are large now. We don't expect that because the trend is showing us that we used to always have 150 children. We had a year where there was 134, we dropped, but it's rising again for the number of children coming to us. So all I gave you is I'm trying to show you the responsibility map to look at the enrollments. And the other most important that everybody on this board should feel that is important is you look at the high school at the top and look at the high school. We had 175 children in grade 12 right now. But look, the year before there is 150, and the prior 2 years are 129. Do you remember our discussion about the number of children who are choosing to go to Ellis and Killenly Boag and Norwich Technical and the ACT and stuff? So this year you heard about what has happened and what we've done. We went from 85 to 95 children who were applying in the 8th grade to go out to other possible high schools. Last year, we're down at only 67 children who are considering an alternate high school. We dropped by as many as 20, 25 students. In addition, we have 45 children applied last year to go to Ellis. 33 ended up going. This year, only 40 applied, so we think it'll be down to less than 25. So the numbers are rising. So when you look at the bottom half, you're going to see the high school is going to lose its largest class at the end of this year, 175.
Yeah.
The largest class is leaving. But at least we're not dropping down to 120s. We're expecting 150 students because the numbers are showing that more students, because of our educating our 8th grade students, that they are choosing. And I called Gail Lanza from Sterling, and she says there are at least 17 already committed, and that there are some students that had a very good relationship when the kids came down to see them and said, I didn't know Plainfield offered all of that, which is great. So I think what you're going to see is Plainfield High is now becoming stable. We're not going to lose the 2 years where they're 125. As those become, we're going to still see it, but it's stable because 150 is now at the high school, 12th grade, will be balanced by 150 coming in. That's what we're projecting. So we're not going to lose staff at our high school, where for the last 2 years we've been dropping some people. I think it's important to see the map and understand that the enrollment basically directs. We may reduce one teacher overall of the whole thing, having lost about 35 students across the district, and that only may be because of that 3rd grade attrition that we have. But all the schools, the actual decline this year is the middle school, and it's not because of kids opting out. It's because the 175 student classes in 7th and 8th grade have now moved out, and what we're replacing them with is the 150s. So you got a 150 and a 170 as opposed to 170, 170, 170. So the decline now is going to be seen in our middle school, and it should balance at the high school. You need that in order to understand when your administrators come to you on February 1st and say, I need this. You won't hear aberrant things like I need 6 teachers or 300,000. You will see that we're going to have a balance in terms of the request because our enrollment is becoming stable, and I really appreciate what the high school and middle school did to re-educate our students. I think it's important. So it's part of the budget and the priorities. I just wanted to make sure you were fully aware and that the public had that information.
Your capital plan. In your packet is a 5-year capital improvement plan, which was sent to you just so that you can review it. In terms of any changes, there was only the one that I caught, which was Shepherd Hill. The only carpeting that is remaining is just a carpeting on the stairs in the library and 2 library offices. That school never had asbestos removal. So we're almost there in terms of Shepherd Hill going over to from carpet to tile.
Yep. And
then at Moosup Elementary, they are preparing to go from carpet to tile in 2 of the classrooms as well in that 5-year plan, which that is an asbestos abatement. And then in terms of the remaining carpet, the only remaining carpet besides the high school would be the PCS library, which is my understanding that Mr. Gagnon, it is budgeted to be able to go over to do that this summer. So we've made huge strides in getting rid of the carpeting and especially in asbestos abatements. over the last 5 years. If you remember, Shepherd Hill used to be carpeted in the hallways in an elementary school, which is very difficult, and now there's almost no carpeting remaining in that building. So basically at this point, we are looking for that the town would need this 5-year capital improvement plan adopted. So I'd be looking for a motion to adopt this 5-year capital improvement.
With the amendments you made, right, as far as
Yeah, which is
wording?
just taking out asbestos removal at Shepherd Hill,
Yeah.
since there is none there.
Right, okay. I'll make a motion to accept the 5-year capital improvement plan as listed here, minus the asbestos removal for Shepherd Hill.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Let me make one point. I just want you to know that you will see in the 21-22 year, you'll see that that number is $5,800,000. There's a reason for that, and that will only make sense. The town is actually working with the schools right now, and they're actually going to get a team on HVAC.
Oh, yes, because for the HVAC. Yeah.
Right, so we distributed it not knowing if there would be a bond, and we used to distribute $250,000 for 4 schools over 4 years to put $1 million in 4 schools. But we would never be able to make a budget and put $5 million. So this is predicated on the town actually going to the public and saying, we know that the cost for HVAC in the 4 schools that need it is between $4 and $7 million. So we budgeted for about $4.7 million and did it all in 1 year, because that's when the budget, the bonds right now for the water purification plant that was put in 4 years ago will be ending, and that's when the roofs that they did will end in the year 2021. So if you're gonna bond, you need to bond on its back so that the town taxpayers do not get hit. As those bonds clear out, the money that's being spent for that bond can be repurposed into HVAC. So that's the targeted year. That still takes public opinion and everything, but it would only make sense for us to put it in as now a bond concept, not as the school trying to do 1 heater per year for the next 10 years. Like, that won't work. So that's why you see the bump of $5 million in 1 year, because of bump for HVAC. But I appreciate you passing it, because it's due by January 31st.
All right. Project 2025, Facility Studies Team. Would you like to walk through?
I think it's in front of you. I think you know that you've already agreed that we're going to do the facility study. I wanted to make sure that when we go to the public understands the days that we will work on it. We will be working the first Thursday of every month. We will work from 6 to 8. We're looking at Shepherd Hill. We thought that would be a good location for it, for the meetings to be held. But we're trying to get people out into our schools and not always have them come to the ECC. They don't understand facilities unless they're in a school. We might even move it from school to school, so the public. But we need to be bringing together a host of people, and I gave you a copy of the original sample report last time, that we had people from the town, we had people from businesses, people like Westminster Tool, we had architects that happen to live in our district. The principals report to you, every union president is invited to give you a rep, because it's the building they will be living in. What you need to know is there is a team that is going to be defined to look at Project 2025. It will be coming back to you, and every month there is a meeting, and every month is listed what will happen. I did this 8 years ago. This is a defined process. You learn the mission, the charge, what the study team has to do. You look at the achievements that have been made over the last 8 years. The next time you come in March, you'll see the whole structure of what the school profiles look like, the state reports for every building, the enrollment trends we have. You just saw an enrollment trend. In April, you come back, and each principal and each lead custodian will tell you what that building needs, what is in the future. And then I come to you in May, and I talk to you about what's on the horizon for changes that the state may be invoking upon us that may affect our facilities. And anything about ADA, anything other requirements of students with disabilities. And then finally in June, we look at all the alternatives. How can we fund this? Where can we find money that is energy efficiency? where there might be grants, like we did with LED and solar. What things can we do through efficiencies that might save us money in buildings and stuff? And we put all that together, and then a package is built based on each of the reports. It'll be, notes will be taken at every meeting. The board will get a summary report at every meeting, and then by August, that team will present to you their proposal for the new 5-year plan. So I want to encourage the public to know the committee is going to be established.
And this isn't just facilities, like we talk about our facility walkthroughs. This really also helps guide curriculum as well. I remember coming on this committee, and one of the things that was discussed was universal pre-K. Well, we were able to do that. That was a big part of it. Making sure that our capital 5-year plan is achievable. Looking at what our schools need curriculum-wise, community-wise, hearing from the workforce of what they need as well. So with that, I know Mr. Broughton, you signed on to be part of this committee. I didn't hear from anyone else, but there is room for one more member. So if someone does have a preference and would like to be invited to all of these meetings, just please let me know. It would be 6 to 8 p.m. the first Thursday of every month.
Thursday's really good, sorry.
So, all right. With that, we'll be writing to everyone, and we'll keep everyone up to date as well of what the outcomes of these meetings are. All right, moving on, teacher substitute pay policy.
All the board needs to do is you adopted these rates. You just need to accept it, that is the resultant change to your policy. Your policy used to say 75, it needs to say 85. It used to say 85, it needs to say 100. So it's not a change to the wording of your policy, it's only changing the rate, which you have the right to do. So you just need to adopt the rate change so it can be incorporated into your policy.
If you're looking for a motion to adopt
And this
that
will
rate,
bring us in line with the other substitute schools.
It does. Like
I thought we voted on this last month.
you did, but it wasn't the policy you voted on, you voted on the rate.
if you look, there's actually a number up here. It's a policy that's actually in the handbook that defines. So we have to vote on a motion to adopt the policy.
So will the revised date on the bottom be added to today?
It'll be revised.
But I can't put it in until you.
Is it policy 4121?
It is.
So you need a motion to adopt policy 4121
As amended.
as amended?
As amended.
So moved.
That was easy.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Curriculum approval, Mrs. Cadro.
Well, our board subcommittee met, and we were talking about 5 additional courses. And I believe that everybody that was on the committee was very impressed with the different courses. So do you want me to go through them one at a time, or just talk about each one and then we can...
Since there are 5, we'll just go through them one at a time and make a motion on those individuals.
Okay. All right, so the first one is called Mapping the Future Using Composition to Explore Identity and Purpose in a Changing World. That's in our language arts English class that would give students another option as seniors to take that course.
All right. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve Mapping the Future Using Composition to Explore Identity and Purpose in a Changing World.
I make a motion to approve Mapping the Future using composition and exploring identity in a purpose in a changing world.
I'll second it.
What do you second?
Will, not sure, the 1 credit elective, does that mean that there will be college credit available for this?
When they get the ECE credential from UConn, there would be college credit for it.
Okay, and that would apply to the state university system? or
Yes, once they
elsewhere?
get UConn credit, it would be good any state university, or even in the community colleges.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, the next, actually the next 3 are science courses. ECE Oceanography, Introduction to oceanography. We do have an oceanography course, but it's not for college credit. So this would have the potential for college credit.
Would this replace the one we have, or would it be two different ones?
No, I believe that it would replace it. Okay, the next one is an environmental science class, and that would be a full year class. I don't believe that that's ECE, that's just environmental science. And the third one is a contemporary science, where students learn about contemporary issues, including but not limited to global environmental impact, genetics, engineering, technology, bacteria, evolution, etc.
What does the $150 for 3 credits?
That, I believe that should not even be there. That was from this is from the catalog from the college, so that should be eliminated.
So there's a copy of the catalog, it's not.
Right.
We're not going to charge the students, right, yeah.
From the college.
In order to receive ECE credit, you must